¿Cómo se dice mariposa en inglés? You say lift or elevator. ¿Seguro? Of course, you see. Both go floor to floor. Para fiestas y posadas. Hello and welcome. So today I will speak to you about a few words, and you will see, but the main two for now are the following in Spanish. So we have comestible, which means edible, and comer, which means to eat. Now, comestible, not that much happened as far as its derivation. If you have watched some other of my videos, you will know by now that whenever we end with an IS, we ignore the consonant, or if S or M, we ignore the consonant, that drops, but then the I lowers, so there's a vowel lowering, so the I goes to an E, sound being E-A. Right, so you have E, E, A, O, U. So the I lowers to an E, pronounced E. Now, something else that we need to account is, in the case of comer and comestible, the com, this is a prefix, so we will ignore the prefix for the purposes of this. Now we have the stress right here. Whenever we have three syllables, say a group of three syllables, with the stress at one end, so notice this would not work because the stress would be in the middle, but this group of three works because, the stress is toward the end, exactly. So here the stress would be in the middle, it would not work. Here the stress is off to the side, this works. What will happen is syncope of the middle vowel, sometimes the entire syllable. In this case, it's just the vowel drops. So we're left with this, right? There you go. So again, nothing too exciting, unlike this one. What we have here, comer comes from comer. It's just a longer E, so we'll spell it with two. And this is not uncommon in Spanish. For example, in other videos, creer, so this to believe, has two vowels, but a lot of people, colloquially, it's very popular to make it a short pronunciation, or drop an E, however you prefer, and many people will say creer. No vas a creer, instead of no vas a creer. That's the difference. So this is what it is. This is how many people will pronounce the word. Now, in the case of to see, this one did go through the entire derivation, just like this one. So this would be the word that we have, versus it comes from two E's, similar to this. That's in another video. So this is a very common construction. But we will ignore these for now. And we will ignore them because they're not really the focus here. Now, this did go through syncope, so we will reconstruct that. And we have comer. But before this, we need to add what the actual infinitive marker used to be. So remember, all verbs in Spanish, they dropped the entire ending after the R. That is why all Spanish verbs in the infinitive form always end in R, either A-R, I-R, E-R. And this is what we have. Now, out of tradition, we will drop the prefix, and we will write this in capital letters, just to symbolize that we've gone back to the original, making reference to Latin. And there you go. So very interesting in terms of comer. And this is one of the reasons why I like this verb. It's just interesting, its history is. But now, let's touch up on something slightly different. Let us say, because Spanish usually, if Latin had a voiceless stop, so the vocal cords do not vibrate, such as, P's would go to B's, they would become voiced, right? T's would become D's. Interesting. Now, in Spanish, D's are dental, so we'll do two things. Say, this actually came from a T, or there was a sister language that had a T or kept a T? Maybe. And say it became alveolar, right? So it's pronounced not in the teeth, t, but in that meaty portion behind the T. T. All right. But let's just say the infinitive marker was not E-R-E, rather eten. All right. Are you familiar with Dutch? Maybe, maybe not. Now, remember that T's are alveolar, not in Spanish, but English, for example, they are, and other languages they are. All right, fair enough. Well, in some languages, such as Spanish, usually T's will go to D's. They'll become voiced. But what if there's a sister language where instead of becoming voiced, the stop became a fricative? Well, what is the fricative version of T? So instead of ta, we would have sa. Oh, interesting. Sa. So instead of eten or eten, we would have essen. Such as Ich essen eine Schokoladentorte. Now we have German. Fascinating. But what if there's a sister language, and let's just imagine a few derivations that took, and I know some of you already know where I'm going with this, say ete, viete, eat, eventually, but we will spell it like this. That's English to eat. So English to eat is related to essen, eten, which ultimately are related to comer. Therefore, the Spanish term for comer, which is derived from Latin, and the English to eat, we can say have a common linguistic ancestor, which is quite fascinating. But it's not just that. If you remember this verb comestible, and you remember what it means in English, edible, there you go. Every word comes from Latin. I'm kidding. Not every word. Obviously a joke. But we have edible from the same root word that eventually gave comer. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.